Meet the Executive Director of the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning with the Fox 43 studio. We're focused on the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross. And we're visiting with its Executive Director,
right,
Angela Nicholas. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning. How are you?
Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
A lot going on in the Coastal South Carolina chapter. Now, I mean, what was formerly the Horry County chapter and now Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg.
That's correct. A lot of action going on. We're just recently merged the three counties together and looking forward to a great working relationship across that region.
I think I saw the board has 37 members now, Angela.
Yes. In fact, we can have up to 40, so we're going to have a very large board, a very active board.
I think I saw that y'all are planning on meeting at different locations every other month.
We are probably going to move around for the convenience of the members because we do have folks all the way up in Williamsburg County, and we don't want to always have them coming into Horry. Plus, we'd like for the board to become more familiar with the coverage area.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, Horry being the largest county geographically in the state, Georgetown being the fourth largest, I think, and Williamsburg maybe being the third or fifth largest.
I think Williamsburg is the third, and I added it up. All total, we have about a 3,000 square mile coverage area.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's rather
with Horry
large.
at like 1,250, 1,296 or so. Those three together, you said 3,000 square
Right.
feet, square miles.
Square miles.
That's
yeah.
incredible.
So it's a large coverage area, but we feel we're going to work hard to provide well-trained volunteers because we are a volunteer organization, and we'll have coverage and improve the quality of the coverage in the whole area.
That is fantastic. And Angela, you recently took over as Executive Director of the Horry County chapter, and so now stepping into the role as Executive Director of the Tri-County Coastal South Carolina region is a pretty big deal.
It is. I started April 1st with the Horry County chapter, and of course there was some discussion at the time that we might make the merge happen, and it just worked out well for us to do that at the beginning of our fiscal year, July 1st.
Right.
So.
Have you been volunteering with the Red Cross for many years, or was this relatively new to you?
It was new to me. Of course, I was very familiar with Red Cross, and having worked in the news media industry, I had interviewed and written stories and talked to the folks quite a bit, so I was familiar from that angle, but I had not volunteered. It was something that I wanted to do, though.
Right, sure. Being in the news media, you probably don't have much time to volunteer.
That's true.
Since you're out covering events all the time. Real quick about yourself, Angela. You originally from the area?
No, from western North Carolina.
Great.
About 50 miles west of Asheville in a small town called Sylva, North Carolina.
Sylva?
Yes.
50 miles west of Asheville?
Yes, sir.
Wow, you must be close to another state over there in Sylva.
Oh, right. We border Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You still have family in Sylva?
Absolutely. My mom, sister, brother. So I have the best of both worlds. I live at the beach and I can travel to the mountains.
Anytime you want. Of course, now they have the best of both worlds. They've got
That's
a
true.
sister or daughter down in down here
At the
on
beach.
the Strand. That's right. So have they been down much since you've been down?
They have. They come down once or twice a year to vacation. And in fact, that's one reason my husband and I moved to the beach when he retired. We felt like it was a great place for family to come and visit on their vacations. So.
How long have you all been down, Angela?
It will be 5 years this Thanksgiving.
Great, good. So you all made a Thanksgiving decision to head on down to the beach and stay.
We did.
That's
Built a home here and we love it. Love the beach. Love the heat, except right now it's a little warm, but...
Oh yeah, it sure is, and we sure want to talk about some of those heat preparedness tips. But of course, even more exciting, I think you came down and took over as editor of the Horry County Gazette, and then later over the neighbors section for the Sun News, which is tremendous.
That's right. I really enjoyed my time at the Sun News. It was wonderful working as an editor here in this area. It allowed me to get to know a lot of people in the community and really become a good part of the community. So that was a great experience.
Absolutely. Of course, the Sun News being the daily newspaper for Horry, Georgetown, and Brunswick counties. Of course, they opened that opportunity for you to really begun to learn Horry and Georgetown well, and Williamsburg County. surely opened a lot of doors for you.
It did, and the Horry County Gazette was designed specifically for the western part of the county, so I spent a lot of time out in Conway and Loris and some of our more rural areas and getting to know the people out in that area too.
For a county as large as Horry alone, I think, what, 1,290 some square miles, just learning this county alone was a huge deal.
That's true. But it's the best way to just jump right into a community and learn your way around and meet the people, and so it's been a very good experience for me.
I think I saw for a while prior to arriving in these positions, you'd served as editor of the paper, the community newspaper there in Silva, North Carolina. What was that like, opening the doors to the editorial or editor positions down here?
Oh, it was wonderful. Starting out in a small town, a small community newspaper, it was a weekly paper, certainly allowed me to gain experience and to move on to the larger newspaper.
What does an editor do for viewers who may not understand exactly what that role is? Are you still able to get out in the field and do stories as well as keep that role as an editor?
It depends really on what you are an editor of, and some positions allow you to get out more than others. With the Neighbors section and the Gazette, I tried very hard to continue to get out in the community some.
Good.
But an editor spends a lot of time networking and organizing and assigning stories, and you spend a lot of time on the telephone and on email and just coordinating with the Neighbors, particularly because we used a lot of freelance writers.
Right.
I was mostly working on coordinating and assigning stories.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. For the South Strand Neighbors that I get to see, the Jackie Nelson and some of those pieces are
She's
just
wonderful.
spectacular. Yeah, some superstar writing you've got. I don't know about the other 3 Neighbors sections, but you've got some great, or formerly had some great writers there.
Right, and it's all designed to be very community-oriented news. So
Sure. Of course, the big move on April 1st, the Red Cross, and so many things going on now as we think about the heat preparedness tips. You know, heat like we had last week. I think last Tuesday around 100+ degrees, incredible heat to warnings out there. What does the American Red Cross do to make sure to get the word out to folks?
Well, we have a lot of people call our office asking for advice. You know, we try to offer safety tips, just a lot of common sense, really. You know, try to stay inside as much as you can, avoid the excessive heat so that you don't end up with heat stroke. Drink a lot of water and liquids.
Yes.
And sit in front of the air conditioning or the fan. You know, if you have any illnesses or situations or conditions that would allow the heat to affect you more, then you certainly need to take better care of yourself.
Right. I was reading some of the tips you all sent out last week about making sure you're a good neighbor as well. Go over and visit some elderly neighbors if you've got any, and check on them, make sure they're doing okay, as well as just closing the blinds throughout the house so as not to put a lot of pressure on Santee Cooper and Horry Electric Co-op.
Well, that's true. Those are good tips as well. And we do have folks that check in. You know, if an elderly person's air conditioning has broke, they've called us to see if we have fans. We did have a few, but we also refer to other agencies where they can get assistance with those sorts of things.
Angela, if a viewer needs to get off to work now or get out of the house, what's the best number to call to get some tips from the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross? Or, of course, y'all would have contact info for them for if they're in Darlington or Robeson, Scotland County. You probably know the chapters if they called y'all. What's the best number?
Right. That number is 477-0020.
Okay.
That's our main line.
Okay. Great. Do y'all have a website as well?
We do. Our new website, which is we're just getting it up and running, is coastalscarc.org.
Okay, .org. Great. Coastalscarc.org.
That's right.
Fantastic. And you said 843-477-0020.
That's correct.
That's a critical number. Of course, that is whether y'all are there, and of course you're a great contact person there, Jennifer Sweat, another great person to check with. You've got a heck of a lot of volunteers there on a regular basis.
Oh, we do. Jennifer Sweat is our Director of Public Support, and also Rocco Salinari is our Director of Health and Safety, and Rocco is a good resource as well. He's a CPR first aid instructor, and we offer, tips on those programs as well.
Right, right. I think I saw first aid and CPR. You've got some events coming up in mid-August, the 16th, 17th, and 18th.
We do.
Updating both for child and adult CPR. And I think I saw there's some great opportunities for babysitter training
Yes.
and lots of stuff. If folks call the number to go over the particulars, it's
Right, they can call the number and get the dates for those classes and the cost. And it's amazing to me, we get a lot of calls from young women who want to babysit, but they want to go through a training program so that they know the proper techniques.
Yes.
And we offer those courses on occasion. We do have one coming up in August.
Great, good. Well, you know, it's so important when you think about that, either as a parent or as a potential babysitter, to think about anything that could potentially go wrong, and knowing that some of those critical adult or child CPR classes that the American Red Cross gives could be lifesavers.
Well, we try to work with the youth, and we have some programs in the schools where we work with youth. And we actually had a young lady during, I think it was last school year, that was able to assist a child that was almost drowning because she had the child CPR class, and she recognized what was going on. And so we have, you know, success stories like that where the youth have really paid attention to the classes and have been able to use their skills.
Great, good. You've got a big campaign that just kicked off recently, I think, Angela, the Heroes campaign.
Yes, it's called Heroes for the Ark, and basically what we're trying, it's our major fundraiser for the year, and we're asking individuals or businesses in the community to raise or to donate $1,000, and if they do that, then they can be a hero for the American Red Cross. Of course, lesser amounts are welcome, and larger amounts are certainly welcome.
You'll take more than 1,000?
I will take more than 1,000.
Oh, my God.
One thing that people don't always understand about the local chapters of the Red Cross is that we are charged with raising our own funds right here in our own community. And you know, it's the sort of situation where we raise our own money and then we put that money right back into the community. So every dime, you know, stays right here for the, whether we're servicing disasters such as single-family fires, where we go out and help people get back on their feet after they've lost their home, or whether we're promoting CPR first aid classes. We offer assistance to military families who might need to get in contact with a loved one overseas if they've had a family death or emergency. So the money is crucial, really, to keeping our chapter open and operating. And with hurricane season, you know, we're in the midst of that, and we've been so fortunate that we have not had anything major happening. You know, we hope we can go through the rest of the hurricane season in good standing like that, but you never know.
Wood, that's right.
That's right. But we want to be prepared ahead. We don't, the Red Cross doesn't sit back and wait for something to happen. We have to be prepared ahead. We have to have disaster training classes for all our volunteers and our staff, and all of that, of course, takes money and time.
Right.
So the Heroes campaign is really crucial to us, and I would encourage anyone who's considering giving a tax-deductible donation to the Red Cross this year to go ahead and get in touch with us and give that donation now and become a hero for the Ark.
If they are, if they didn't know someone who's a potential hero that had contacted them, or someone may not have contacted them, what's the best way? Just to call and get your address to mail in a donation, or could you give out the address now?
Sure. It's 2795 Pampas Drive in Myrtle Beach, 29577.
Okay.
And they can call and get information if they want some more information on the campaign, or they can just mail their check in, and we will generate a thank you letter to them that they can use on their taxes.
Great. Of course, there's so many things. You laid out an amazing number of different places that funds could be reinvested in the community. Of course, so many folks think about blood donations as an avenue for the American Red Cross. I know you all have separate organizational components here in the area, but blood donations probably at one of the highest needed levels here in the Strand along the summertime, because so much blood is taken out with tourists in the area. The hospitals have such a dearth of blood available because so many tourists in the area.
Blood donation in the summer is critical, and we work with the blood donation center here in Myrtle Beach to assist them in promoting the blood drives
Sure.
and getting the word out, because like you said, we're inundated with thousands and thousands of tourists. Our population grows tremendously. So with that, you know, you have more accidents and more need for blood, and summer is always a tough time anyway for blood donations. A lot of people are on vacation and have other reasons, you know, that they just don't take the time. So they really need to think about that.
Sure, and they of course can call your office as well to get info for the local chapter.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. How about the big golf tournament this Saturday? I understand you all are booked for golfers. It's full, but there's still some other promotional opportunities.
Yes, we're really excited. We've had a wonderful turnout for the golf tournament Saturday at Bay Tree in Little
Right.
River, and we do still have some sponsorships left. It's $150 for a sponsorship,
Okay.
and we would need people to get that information to us right away so we can have
Today,
the signs
yes.
right, because we're really pushing the deadline here. But last I checked, we were basically full for players. If anyone really, really wanted to play, they should just call us and see if we've had someone drop out. We might have an opening for
Oh,
them.
yeah.
But
Because that's another tax-deductible opportunity, and to be able
That's
to play
right.
golf as well.
right, and we're going to have some lunch and some prizes, and it'll be a lot of fun.
And this, I think, is the 10th annual golf tournament.
It is, and it's the 10th annual Hurricane Classic.
Oh,
Great
good.
name for the
yeah,
golf
that's
tournament.
right. That's right. Probably a lot happening. We'll keep our fingers crossed that no hurricanes are heading our way this weekend. You know, when you think about so many of the activities, obviously now, have you all begun to lay out some of the potential partnership opportunities between Horry and Georgetown and Williamsburg that may not have been apparent in just the Horry County chapter since you've taken over in April?
Well, each of the chapters were up and running, providing services, but we are going to be working much more closely with those folks out there who may not have had an opportunity to volunteer or to get some training. We have our disaster director, Karen Anderson, is really geared up to go out into the two counties and provide some more training for volunteers. So we feel that we're just going to work strongly together and beef up our services for the people and get the Red Cross name out there.
In these three very large counties, yes.
Yes.
You'll also have a tremendous event. I know Janice Ash Saliano was with us around Christmas time promoting your big Christmas Day event, which I think goes on at 2 area churches and a local school, Whittemore Park Middle School,
Right.
as well as at First Pres and Blaine Methodist Church down in Murrells Inlet. An incredible opportunity. I think this past year y'all fed, what was it, 2,500 families?
I believe so. It's just been incredibly successful, and like you said, Janice Ash Solinari has just taken that on as her own project, and
Oh, yeah.
what a wonderful board member she's been.
Oh, yes.
And a great group of volunteers who spend their Christmas Day helping to feed those less fortunate.
And that's the critical word, volunteers. And the other
Yes.
critical word is Christmas Day. This is
Right.
volunteering on Christmas
On
Day to
Christmas
really make
Day.
a difference in others' lives.
It is.
How about some volunteer opportunities? Speaking of that, Angela, do you all have some volunteer opportunities?
We do, because we certainly rely heavily on volunteers. In fact, Horry County has about 400 volunteers on our list, our roster right now, and I think Georgetown Williamsburg has another 300. But you have to remember that every volunteer is not always available at the time you might need them, so you need a lot of volunteers to do the different things. We utilize volunteers to help man our office,
Right.
the telephone, and to schedule our classes, but one of the greatest ways that we use them is for disaster training.
Huh.
And,
What's an example of that, and what are some of the qualifications that would be needed of viewers or potential volunteers?
One of the things that we're looking to build up right now, especially with the new merged territory, is what we call DAT teams, which is disaster action teams. The people that become a part of our DAT teams are individuals who are willing to get training to go out and meet a fire family. It could be 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It doesn't matter what time. Fire doesn't discriminate. So these volunteers are willing to leave their home and go out to a fire and sit down with the fire family and help comfort them and help arrange for them to get a hotel room if they don't have anywhere else to stay. We arrange for them to get some money for fresh clothing, because a lot of times they've left their home in nothing but their pajamas, and also some food. And it takes training to know how to do that. There are certain protocols that you have to use, certain forms that you have to fill out. So these folks come in for quite a number of hours of training, and they're just wonderful people, because they get up the next morning and go to work at a full-time job, you know, like everybody else. So it's incredible that they're willing to volunteer. We also have volunteers who go off on national assignments. With Hurricane Emily and Dennis recently, we sent 4 volunteers off to help with those assignments, just to get prepared in case the hurricanes came into Texas and Alabama. We had some volunteers down in Florida, and our disaster director also went out to San Antonio.
Wow.
She has extensive training in setting up the communications. So if a hurricane comes into land and knocks out all the communications, the Red Cross is going to be there to get some backup communication systems set up.
That is fantastic. That experience that she's garnered here as well as in other areas, be able to take it out there, but to know when she gets back she's even more ready for something that may be coming.
Exactly.
Hopefully not for hurricane weekend, hurricane golf tournament, the tournament coming up.
Right, it's not going to happen before
That's
the
right, surely not between now and this Saturday. But of course, for that experience, it's so critical.
It is critical, and that's why we're willing to allow a staff member to go off on a 2-week assignment like that, because what they learn on site, you know, is invaluable to us if we end up in the same situation.
That same phone number, Angela, 843-477-0020, folks could use to check with you about not only those volunteer opportunities, but other ones in the office?
Yes, sir. That number is our main line. It's actually manned 24/7.
Great.
We have an answering service once we close the office, and our office hours are 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
And then the phones roll over, but there's always someone there to take your message or to get in touch with us if there's an emergency. We have people on call 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Okay, and the coastalscarc.org. Folks could visit that to also learn more about the local chapter as well as the national. Now, there is a pretty sizable national. I think I saw there are 850 chapters across the country. I know, obviously, you're relatively new to the organization on April 1st. It's there's still a lot to learn about it, but I think the national side's been around a heck of a long time.
Oh, yes. I think originally the Red Cross was chartered in something like 1864.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
It's been around for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The difference of being associated with a vital nonprofit organization like that has tentacles across not only the country but really around the world, continually going around the world, enables you all to get some critical training that you all can pass along to all the potential volunteers.
Right. Someone said to me recently that when you're in a situation where you've had a hurricane or a tornado and your community's devastated, there was no more beautiful sight than to see that big truck roll up with the bright Red Cross on it, and they said that just is such a thrill to know that the Red Cross is there to offer the support and to feed. We do a lot of sheltering and feeding, and so I think that, you know, it's very recognizable.
Absolutely. Very emotional bond that folks have with that big Red Cross.
That's true.
For good reason. Angela, if someone was able to send in a donation today to your Pampas Drive address, or someone had contacted them to make a donation, they were given a check to the Coastal South Carolina chapter here. Well, we talked about some of the places that dollars could be expended, but let's say a $50 donation. What are some of the best ways that y'all could put that $50 to use today?
Well, there are just so many ways. Of course, we have to keep our chapter operating as any business, whether it's profit or nonprofit.
Right.
But we do things like support the local firefighters or emergency personnel if they're out on a fire or a rescue mission. So we could take that $50 and buy cases of bottled water that we would take out to those firemen who really appreciate that when they can't leave, you know, they can't leave their station there and they're battling that blaze for hours on end. They like to know that the Red Cross is going to come in and help provide them with some refreshment and even food. Our disaster training, we have to provide materials that we can bring those volunteers in and provide videotapes and training materials for them. Our fire families, I know that we have to follow very specific guidelines so that every fire family is treated equally. So everything that we do for one fire family, we're going to do for every fire family, providing a certain amount of money for them to buy new clothes or to get food or, so many nights of shelter till they can get back on their feet.
I don't know how y'all do it, Angela. I don't know how enough donations come in to enable y'all to do everything you do.
Well, it's amazing to me, too, because I think since January 1st, we've spent almost $45,000 just assisting fire families in our region. And when you think about that, I mean, that's a lot of house fires that we have, and it's a lot of people whose lives are affected. But the donations trickle in, and somehow we always manage to meet our goals. But we do rely on the community, and we really hope the community will rely on us and support us in the future.
Those are great words. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. It's so nice to see you.
Thanks. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Angela Nicholas coming up next. Babysitter training classes, adult CPR, child CPR, critical information. We live here at the beach, but there's a lot of territory that's not at the beach. A lot of territory in Horry and Georgetown and Williamsburg counties, but a heck of a lot of territory in the PD and southeastern North Carolina where y'all may live. The critical information you can get at the American Red Cross, whether it's in your local chapter or right here, 843-477-0020. You never know. As Angela made it very clear, she used those key words. Fires don't discriminate. They can impact everyone. It could be you, it could be a family member, a loved one, a co-worker. Know that the American Red Cross is there. They're going to be there. The firemen are going to be there. A phone call is going to be the first thing you can do to get somebody out there, but just know the American Red Cross is right behind the firemen and women. 843-477-0020. It's the critical information that you may learn in one of Rocco Solineri's classes that'll make a difference out on the beach when CPR is needed. It'll make a difference in the pool, but it'll also make a difference on your day-to-day life, knowing that you can be called upon if a critical need is there. The American Red Cross is there for you. You heard her talk about it. It's there for you for a reason. Give them a call, but they need your help. You can call them at 843-477-0020 to learn more about volunteer opportunities and ways you can make a difference.